London Uncovered. As we are advancing onto a new episode, and today we are talking about the power of women. Yes, around the world, women now have more power than ever before. Men still dominate decision making, but the number of women is on the rise in parliaments, in cabinets, judiciary, and police forces. We can even see in formal employment and education. The first election of women to local government in Saudi Arabia in 2015 showed that progress is being made even in the most conservative societies. Recent research shows these areas women are still stronger. Women tend to live 6 to 7 years longer than men. Women have the strength to take on the most painful childbirth. Women have greater resistance to extreme cold. Women are at a lesser risk of inheriting hemophilia. Women have significantly stronger immune systems. Women are now outperforming men in IQ tests. Women are better drivers too. Women are better decision makers than men. And surprisingly enough, women are good investors too. And they say the monthly cycle is a natural cleanser that brings women down aging. And let's look some of the inventions that the women have made. Marie Curie, the theory of radioactivity. Nancy Johnson, the ice cream maker. Maria Telkes, the first 100% solar powered house. Anne Tsukamoto, stem cell isolation. Grace Hopper, the computer. Elizabeth Magie, the board game Monopoly. Rosalind Franklin, DNA double helix. Maria Beasley, the life raft. Stephanie Kolek, synthetic fiber Kevlar. Shirley Jackson, the source of all things telecommunication. So we can see women have power. And in the words of Maya Angelou, you may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air, I will rise. So let's go and see and ask people, what do they think about the power of women? And let's see, what has Nigel got for us today? Good morning, Nigel.
Good morning, Sanjay.
Tell us, what have you got for us today?
Well, I'm going to do a song called Amelia Earhart's Last Flight.
All right.
As a tribute to all women on World Women's Day. And this commemorates Amelia Earhart, who was a trailblazing pilot before the Second World War. And she flew solo across the Atlantic. She attempted to fly solo around the world, but unfortunately she crashed in the Pacific. But she's always been a beacon of hope to all women, to give them that confidence to go out and do things.
Nigel, let's hear it.
Right, okay. I like a ship out on the ocean, or just a speck up against the sky. Amelia Earhart flying past that day. Oh, with a partner, Captain Noonan, on the 2nd of July. She fell into the ocean far away. there's a beautiful, beautiful field in a land far away that is fair. Happy landings to you, Amelia Earhart. Farewell, First Lady of the Sky. About a half an hour later, an SOS went out. A signal weak, but still her voice was brave. In shark-infested waters, a plane went down that night into her blue Pacific watery grave. And there's a beautiful, beautiful field in a land far away that is fair. Happy landings to you, Amelia Earhart. Farewell, First Lady of the Sky. And now you heard my story about this awful tragedy. We all pray that she'll fly home safe again. In years to come, no others blaze a trail across the sea. We'll never forget Amelia and her plane. And there's a beautiful, beautiful field in a land far away that is fair. Happy landings to you, Amelia Earhart. Farewell, First Lady of the Sky. Farewell, First Lady of the Sky. Farewell, First Lady of the Sky.
That was just mesmerizing.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
Nigel. And today we have a very special person with us. And she's none other than Alex. Good morning, Alex.
Hi, good morning.
Tell us, what are your thoughts on power of women?
The power of women. I mean, I believe that women are incredibly powerful, and I believe that the powers that women have are really specifically unique as well. I think, I work in tech, and I've also studied philosophy, and those are very male-dominated fields, and I always found at first sort of a bit of a worry that the traits that made me different than some of the men that I studied with or worked with were often sometimes seen as weaknesses in the past, and now we're really getting to this place where we're recognizing that some of the traits that are inherently feminine, things like incredible empathy, understanding, patience, softness, we're starting to see just how powerful those things are in places like politics, in places like science, in places where logic is needed and often balanced out by some of these more powerful and interesting traits. Some of the most important people and most influential people in my life have typically been women. Just the relationships I've had with them have had such a depth to them. The conversations that I can have with them can get incredibly complex in some of the best ways. I really do think women have a power that they're bringing to the world, and we're just starting to see it more and more and more as feminism gets to this place that it's been trying to get for a century, and women have that equal seat at the table, and I think we're going to see it more and more in the next couple decades as well.
Tell us, what more can be done to make a difference?
Well, it's hard because there is an awful lot being done now, which is great, and I notice a very significant difference between the generations naturally. I think the generation that's coming up below us now, this Generation Z, it's almost not even really top of mind for them anymore to see the distinction between men and women. And I think that's a really wonderful thing. It's, Sheryl Sandberg has this quote that in the future we won't have female leaders, we'll just have leaders. And I think about that all the time because I don't want to see this distinction anymore. But it's a hard thing to build into people. You can't just train it out of them, especially when they've grown up with this particular understanding. I think we are moving in the right direction. We're seeing more and more women leaders. We're seeing more and more women have that seat at the table. What more can be done is just really identifying and looking into your own biases and even understanding that I have sometimes I've talked a lot with women in tech about this, that I have biases I really don't expect or understand, and just accepting that you might have some that you may not necessarily know. I think if everyone has that introspection, it'll go a long way.
Alex, what message would you give to the world?
What message would I give to the world? Pay attention to women. Keep an eye on them. And try to also, I think I would add, identify if you yourself have some of those feminine traits you may not have known about before, and try to find ways to foster them and make sure you're not considering them weaknesses.
Alex, it's been a privilege and a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And let's see, who do we have next? And she's none other than Claire. Good morning, Claire.
Hi, you right?
Tell us, what are your thoughts on power of women?
I feel like we've grown since going back. We wasn't able to vote, and now we can vote. We can do loads of stuff, different jobs as well. There's loads of women doing engineer work. So I just feel like we've grown as a society.
Tell us, what more can be done to empower women?
I think a lot of women need to support each other. I think we need to encourage each other as well. Be role models for each other. Yeah, that's about it.
What message would you give to the world, Claire?
Stay positive. Make some goals. Be inspired. Encourage yourself and to do better. And that's it.
Claire, that was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. See you later.
And let's see, who do we have now? And she's none other than a very, very own special Julie. Good morning, Julie.
Morning. Hello, Sanjay. How are you?
Good. Tell us, what are your thoughts on power of women?
Power of women, I think, since I've been working, has really changed. In the railway, we've really seen loads of women come up into roles, and it's so positive that we can see how much input we're having, and it's a balance at C2C. It's a good balance. There's a good gender balance of managers, staff, drivers, and it's working well.
Tell us, what more can be done to empower women?
I think there's a lot more that can be done. Mainly making sure that everyone's paid equally. With the drivers offering part-time roles, I think that's really good for women, so more women will be able to take up that. As you know, in stations we've got a lot of part-time roles, so people can still fit in with their families and everything. So that's really positive. I think that we just need to keep working and pushing harder and making sure we get the message out there that women are welcome in any role, especially on the railway.
Julie, what message would you give to the world?
My message to the world is it looks like there's a light at the end of the tunnel at the moment. So for those of you, if you're offered the injection, I would like you to have it. I'm no expert. I'm booked in to have my injection Monday myself. I think it's really important that we all get back to normal. We all want to be together. We like being around people. We like having our group chats and stuff like that. So it's really important that we get these injections out, everyone can get them, and then we can start living our life again and being with our friends and families. It will make such a big difference. But most of all, I just want everyone to be safe and look after yourself.
Julie, that was inspiring. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
And today, we have a very special person with us today. And she's none other than Leslie. Good afternoon, Leslie.
Good afternoon.
Tell us, what are your thoughts on power of women?
I think women are incredibly strong and have always been so, but quietly strong so people don't know.
Tell us, what things can be done to empower women more?
I think in the Western world, I think women are becoming more empowered. I think in some countries in the world, it's where that's where the changes need to be, and women need to be given more power for equality.
What message would you give to the world, Leslie?
I would say women, don't give up. You can achieve whatever you want to. You just keep fighting for it.
Leslie, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And let's see what Mary has to say about it. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Sanjay.
Tell us, what are your thoughts on power of women?
I think with women, if you look at it from a biblical point of view, God created Adam and he felt there was something missing, and from his rib he created Eve because he needed somebody to support the man, and I think that is phenomenally the power of women.
Tell us, Mary, what can be done to empower women more?
To empower women, we need to build alliances with our male counterparts, where we require them to support women in terms of developing in the workplaces, at home, and collaborating most of the time with women, because women are such a powerful asset. They are pillars of the community. they are creative, they are resourceful, and if we tap into those skills that they have, we are definitely going to create a better world.
What message would you give to the world, Mary?
My message to the world is love the women that are out there. We are your best friends. We are your fountain of resources, so you can always rely on us.
Mary, once again, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Sanjay.
And let's see, who do we have next? And she's none other than Margaret, the principal of Language Link. Good afternoon, Margaret.
Good afternoon, Sanjay. How are you today?
I'm fine.
Good, good.
Tell us, what are your thoughts on the power of women?
Yes, the power of women. Well, unfortunately, it's a part of the universe that has been very poorly treated, because women have always been considered a second-class citizen. However, there have been women in the past who have been able to stand up and be counted. Even from early times in the Greek mythology, there were lots of women that were very strong. There were the Amazons. Going into the Middle Ages, there were women who, like Saint Catherine of Siena, who actually forced the church to bring the Pope back to Rome. And then moving forward into science, we have people like Marie Curie, who invented X-rays and worked on the treatment of cancer, and so on. Now we've moved on into this century, where we have women who are holding top offices, prime ministers, very famous scientists.
Margaret, tell us, what more can be done to empower women?
Yes, we have all of these women who have done very, very well, but unfortunately there is at least half of the world where women are not treated well. And this can be through culture, it can be through faith, but mostly it's an area where we have to really work hard. We think we've got women with equal opportunity, but we don't. Women don't get the same pay as men. Even Hollywood have now looked at this. The BBC have been looking at this. And women have been standing up and saying, right, I do the same job, I do the same hours, I want the same pay. But apart from all of that, the treatment of women in the home is another area that is now really very concerning. Either here, abuse in the family, abuse by a father, a brother, a husband. And this is an area which is crying out for help for women. And we need to stand up and talk about it. And the men in these communities here in England and the rest of the world, they need to look at it. They need to realise that we're all equal. We always believed that we were all the same in the eyes of God, but unfortunately, what we say, we don't do.
So what message would you give to the world, Margaret?
I would say, look at your women. Everybody has a mother, and the majority of people respect their mothers. In fact, a lot of people respect their mothers a great deal. But it's a strange phenomenon that when they get married, they don't necessarily think that they have to treat their wife as well as they would have treated their mother. And this is something that education, I think, really is the only way we can change this culture.
Margaret, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Sanjay.
As we come to the end of this episode, and we've been talking about the power of women, and we have observed that an alert world is a challenged world. Rise of women is not about fall of men. A case study in 2014 to 2016 from the Women's Voice and Leadership in Decision Making project showed that education and employment outside the home can increase women's power and status within the family and community. Women need more than basic education and an income to influence high-level decision-making. Women need to work in politically and socially strategic ways to advance individuals or group objectives and support existing feminist organizations of different kinds. It meant to invest in women's economic power, invest in women's higher education, invest in national knowledge production, invest in women's role in post-conflict regime, and invest in support groups. No wonder one author puts it, a woman with a book and pen has the power to move nations. A woman with a mind and a voice has the power to change worlds. Happy Women's Day.